Before we dive into this overlooked strategy, I want to ask you to hit that subscribe button and leave a comment down below. This isn't just another history video. It's a survival resource that connects past ingenuity with modern home defense. By the end of this, you'll not only understand the origins of this wartime technique, but also how to apply it today in ways that are practical, effective, and rooted in real historical practice. During the Second World War, civilians were trained not just to survive air raids, but to actively defend their homes against sudden threats. Cities like London, with the constant threat of bombings and rural areas under occupation, required homeowners to be inventive. Amid the chaos, one particular method stood out, not flashy, not reliant on guns, but profoundly effective. Today, it's nearly forgotten, yet with minimal adaptation, it still has the power to protect a home from intruders. During the war, families and local militias often set up what were called passive traps. These were not lethal in the way modern security systems are, but they relied on misdirection, environmental manipulation, and clever engineering. The core principle was to control the intruders' movement before they even realized there was a defense in place. Many households took advantage of the terrain around their homes, gardens, basements, staircases, and created layers of deterrence that slowed or disoriented potential threats. For example, homeowners would reinforce certain pathways leading to the house with subtle obstacles that were nearly invisible in low light. These could be loose boards that would shift under weight, strategically placed barrels, or even wires stretched at ankle height. The goal wasn't to cause injury, but to alert the residents and create a momentary pause. That pause was often enough to give a civilian an advantage, whether it was to escape, sound an alarm, or confront the intruder. So, modern alarms and cameras are, quite reliable, but they're also pretty predictable. Once an intruder identifies motion sensors or, say, visible cameras, they often find ways around them. The forgotten World War II method, on the other hand, relies on the principle of unpredictability and environmental control. By creating small, subtle traps or signals in your home's approach, you maintain an advantage because, an intruder simply cannot anticipate where they'll encounter resistance. A practical modern adaptation could, for example, involve creating controlled noise triggers. For instance, you might have a loose floorboard that squeaks when stepped on, or maybe just a simple wire that lightly jingles against a can. Unlike a standard alarm, these signals are, silent from the street, so only you know which areas are compromised. It preserves stealth and allows for a measured response. In addition, integrating these with your natural home environment, like hallways, staircases, and garden paths, ensures that the method remains inconspicuous, while, honestly, highly effective. One of the most important lessons from this World War II technique is the idea of layers. Houses were rarely defended with just a single measure. It was a combination of multiple subtle tricks. This layered approach created confusion and hesitation, which in many cases was more valuable than direct confrontation. Consider a scenario where a homeowner today applies this concept. A subtle trip mechanism at the entrance alerts the residents. Inside, motion-sensitive lights in hallways disorient the intruder. And finally, hidden doors or obstacles in strategic locations force a pause or retreat. The trick is not to rely on one tool, but to orchestrate a system where each element compounds the effect of the others. We families understood this instinctively. Their homes became controlled zones where each step an intruder took could be managed, delayed, or redirected. It's critical to emphasize that these measures are about deterrence, alerting, and controlling movement, not causing serious injury. You can take a few simple steps to adapt this forgotten trick safely. First, survey your home and identify areas of natural vulnerability or choke points. Second, design subtle environmental triggers, such as squeaky floorboards, pressure mats, or lightweight obstacles in pathways that can delay or unnerve an intruder. Third, incorporate sound or visual alerts that give you actionable information without putting anyone at immediate risk. For those who want to expand further, historical manuals from the 1940s describe garden defences that use simple physics rocks in wire mesh cages, branches placed to slow progress, and noise amplifiers like tin cans or glass bottles. Translated to today, this can be as simple as using small, safe noise-making devices along likely entry routes or designing your landscaping to create obstacles that are subtle but effective. Applying this World War II trick isn't just about security. It's about, connecting with a mindset of resourcefulness that history teaches. Civilians during wartime weren't relying on commercial gadgets. They were thinking critically about physics, psychology, and their environment. Each measure was deliberate, tested, and, integrated into daily life. Studying these techniques gives modern survivalists a toolkit of ideas that are adaptable, low-tech, and stealthy, qualities often overlooked in a world dominated by technology. The brilliance lies in the simplicity. This wasn't complicated machinery or firearms training. It was about observation, timing, and using your home's natural features to create controlled conditions. That mindset is invaluable for anyone serious about home defense today. Start by assessing your home from the perspective of an intruder. Identify choke points and areas that could serve as natural delay zones. Implement subtle triggers and sound cues in these zones. Consider layering multiple elements, noise, visual alerts, obstacles, so that even a single intruder becomes uncertain and slowed. Keep records of what works and refine over time. The principle remains the same as it did in World War II. Control the environment, create pauses, and give yourself a decisive advantage without escalating risk. The forgotten World War II, home defense trick that still stops intruders. Today is more than just history. It's a bridge between past ingenuity and modern survivalism. By studying and applying these methods, you not only protect your home, but also preserve a lineage of wartime resourcefulness that few people think about anymore. If this guide added real value to your understanding of history and survival strategies, make sure to subscribe and comment on the channel. Share your thoughts, your adaptations, or even your experiments with these techniques. This is a space where history meets practical application, and your engagement keeps these forgotten strategies alive for new generations of enthusiasts.